happy Saturday, one and all. Welcome to the show for a special date and time, not the same bat time, channel, cave, or anything like that. This very special show. I have had each member of the Chasing 80's Toys team on the show before. This is the first time we've had them all in one place, and I believe only the second or third time they've ever been on a live stream other than their own place all at one time. This was logistically a nightmare to do. We planned this over a month ago, and I kept it close to my chest because I wanted to surprise y'all. So we announced it early this week. I can't be happier to have everyone on here. So without further ado, I'm going to bring everybody in. I'm going to bring on Scuba Pete, Jeff Barker, and a Velociraptor, apparently. Welcome to the show, guys. How everyone doing?
What's up?
Hey.
Is that like an oversized blue? Is that what that is?
Yeah, it's very blue.
Nice. Yeah, I don't know if it was Salzburg or who it was that started bringing up dinosaurs. I think it was Salzburg, and I have like 2 or 3 damn Velociraptors now from the Amber collection, and I was looking at duplicates of the tiger and the male. Like I'm just going to get a fleet of for no reason at all, just because I could get them, and they're discontinuing the line. So it's like I pick them up now. I should get the dinosaurs going. Yeah, like which is kind of what we're here to talk about in a certain way. But I want to real quick acknowledge folks in the chat, and then we'll get right into it, saying hello and pleasantries and all that stuff, dinosaurs aside. I see Jim Largo, Bjorn Jorgensen, Kieran Ball, lots of them, Daniel Carhoonen, Gojatron, Bill Wifta, Michael Schaefer, sir,
Doctor,
Captain, Doctor, Ian Sweeney.
Pete, I should have got one of those.
A drink? Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuller's Figures, nice.
On Earth.
Keith Knight, Mucka, Mrs. Scuba Pete, hey, nice to see you.
Yeah.
And I think I see Boba Hicks in there. And is that everybody? Maybe so. I don't know if I got everybody, but if I didn't, it's too bad because I'm going to forget stuff. It's okay. Steven as well. Steven S.
Steven.
Yes.
Yep.
So this is interesting because each one of us are in a different time zone. Every one of us.
Yeah.
So, that's a whole ball of wax in and of itself, which speaks to the scheduling and everything else. So, we're just going to go around the room here. So, Mr. Pete, sir, how have you been?
Very well. I wish I'd been collecting toys the last couple of days, but instead I've been playing lumberjack in my backyard, taking care of a downed tree. So I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay. You know that song.
You drink all night, you work all day. Wait,
yep.
That's not how that works.
Down trees, I eat my lunch.
Anyway. I go to the leather tree. On Wednesdays, I go shopping in the butter skunks for tea. Yeah, exactly. That's a great life update from you, Pete. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. No, it's stuck in your head. You're welcome.
Mr. Jeff Barker, how are you, sir?
I'm good. Just hanging out. Just came back from a Comic-Con that happened earlier today, and kind of okay. Picked up a few comic books and just kind of hanging out. Been cleaning out the collection back here. As you can see, boxes and stuff. Getting ready to get rid of a bunch of stuff, which kind of speaks to our topic of the state of collecting a little bit. So, yeah,
it does. It sure does. Before I ask Chris the eternal question, I got 2 chats I want to bring up. So we currently have gotten 100 experience points for the Python reference. Thank you, Goji. Appreciate that. And we've got a visitor from yet another time zone. Woo! Tony's Manalog Toys. Nice to see you, sir. Hey. Always good to see you around here.
Is in the house.
There's a tiny faint echo. That's probably me. So I'm going to ask Chris how he's doing, and then I'll fix my audio.
Yeah. First of all, thanks for having us on, Jim. And how am I doing? I'm growing a beard, and so is this handsome man beside me. Just look at that.
Me too.
Look at that.
Beautiful. Like twins.
Nice.
I'm doing good. I'm doing good, Jim.
That's awesome. And if there was any echo coming from me, it should be gone now. Hope everything is sounding okay.
It might be me too, so let me know.
It's possible, but at this point, hey, we'll roll with it. We'll make it work. So today's topic is meant to be kind of ethereal, a little free flowing because it does
Right.
cover so much. But we're talking about the state of collecting in 2022 because it's different than it was a year ago. It's different than it was 2 years ago, and it's different than it was 10, 20 years ago. So while I don't want to give everyone a history lesson, I do feel like we need to kind of establish that our state of being right now in every aspect of toy collecting is completely on its head right now. So what I feel like would be a good thing to do is kind of establish, kind of what we're doing now, and then kind of backtrack each of these things. So the first thing I want to talk about is shipping. I'm going to rip the Band-Aid off, boys. We're just rip the Band-Aid off. Shipping, if you're doing peer-to-peer, person-to-person shipping, while it is slower than it has been, generally speaking, I have not seen a whole lot of problems. Where you do run into problems are there certain countries you can't ship to. The costs have doubled, tripled, or more. And generally, it's always a crapshoot. Like, you never know what you're going to get if you're taking a box to send to someone else. And I'll start with my favorite story so far is I sent a huge couple of boxes down to Matt Swafford from that GI Joe lot that he procured up here, this was end of last year, and there you go, it's right there.
Yeah.
Floating around. Oh yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
But it was just from here in Texas down to Florida. It's not that far of a distance, and the weight on these things was not horrific. I didn't even send him everything that we looked at in that live stream because he was picking and choosing what he wanted from the lot.
Yeah, I remember that.
And that was like $160, $170 to ship. Yeah.
Holy hell.
And then I found out that I forgot the 3 biggest bits. And I sent those for another $60, $70. So over $200 in all to ship to him. The last bit, because I had forgotten it, I was like, I'll ship this. This was my mistake. And he still reimbursed me. So, like, you figure how much he paid for the lot, then the shipping, and he's got to try and make that back. Now, granted, what he had, I'm sure he'll be fine, right? And that was kind of the thing. But even earlier last year, that shipping would have been maybe $100, right?
Yeah.
Now, fast forward to a few weeks ago, I sent Largo this ginormous box of stuff that is heavier than what I sent to Matt.
Florida to Matt.
And this is to Florida as well, because of the way that he likes to get his stuff shipped.
Oh, right on.
That only cost me like $60.
Well,
That's crazy.
I don't know.
That's
don't
crazy.
know.
So the postal office, they have like a wheel. Like, hold on, let's see what your shipping's gonna be today. Oh,
Right.
triple.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Jesse
crazy.
Hughes with a geographical fact here. Texas to Florida, basically the size of Western Europe, not too large. That's fair. And
True.
Tony brings up a great geographical point as well, in that Australia does not exist, and the population is just a figment of Michael French's imagination. That's science. Don't argue with me. That's fact.
Science fact.
You heard it here first, folks. Right here
Well,
on
like
the
Tony
Grinding
just-
News Show.
Like Tony
It's
said
not
in
even
chat,
on-
is
He's not
he
even on my
lives in the
Google
most
map.
current. Yeah, look, try living in one of the most remote places on the planet, like Tony
Exactly.
does, and trying to get stuff to him. But I actually will always be grateful for shipping, because it's kind of what brought me and Pete and Chris together.
Right.
Trying to get the Defiant to Pete, and so
Look, Leslie's on this call. We don't talk about the shipping.
It was only
I-
a few dollars. That's why it was so great.
Few dollars.
See, I was gonna ask you to reveal the cost here on the show, but no, okay, fine, we won't do that.
Go ahead. No.
Uh,
Because inquiring minds want to know. Go ahead, Jeff. Tell
I
them.
don't
Yeah.
remember. I actually don't remember how much it was. I mean, I know it was you actually had to buy an actual pallet.
mhm.
600.
It was $600 to ship the
That's not
Defiant.
bad.
No,
But
not
that
for
was-
the buddy price that I got from Jeff. It's
Yeah.
condition and all that, and
And like I said, I packed that up
Came
at
out
the UPS store on one pallet, and that pallet went onto a single truck, and then that truck
Right.
didn't go through any way stations or anything. And that drove to Pete's house and dropped it off.
Like for something of that size, that condition, that rarity,
Right.
white glove door to door, like that's
Yep.
really inexpensive for what it is.
It was actually cheaper
Now-
shipping it that way than it was trying to piece it out and ship it through regular UPS.
Mhm.
and that was what, a year and a half ago, something like that.
2 years,
We're going
maybe 2 years.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like
So
that.
now, fast forward to now, and imagine how
Oh.
much that would cost.
I have no idea. I have
You
no
know,
idea.
And
Well, we
And
know
that's-
now. Now I'm driving to Denver to meet up with
Yes.
Jeff to get the Eternia set because we're not shipping that baby.
So I'm going to drive 12 hours to Denver, and
I'm
Pete's going
driving
to drive
18.
18 hours to Denver from his place. We're going to meet sort of halfway, and I'm going to deliver the Eternia playset. He's going to give me an AT-AT, and we're going to do some toy shopping and hunting. And
Muy fragile.
yes,
and what they don't know is that I'm flying in a ninja suit to take all their toys.
take all
So I
the
have
toys.
none of those
Yeah.
things.
So
no,
we'll be documenting that. That'll be our next big travel video.
that's gonna be awesome.
I mean,
Coming
we're going to
soon.
do that in May or something like that.
Yeah,
Cool.
I think we're doing.
we still got to line it out, but yeah,
Yeah, we're
Coming
figuring that
soon.
out still.
Jesse, I thought I told you never to bring up packing peanuts on this channel again.
I hate packing peanuts.
Oh, I hate them. They get everywhere.
They get
I am to
everywhere.
packing peanuts as
like
Anakin
sand.
Skywalker is to sand. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's coarse and it gets everywhere. You know, but that's just speaking about shipping within continental United States. To say nothing of shipping overseas or anything else. I know, Chris, that you do a lot of shipping within Europe. You know, because obviously even within the Netherlands, we have friends and so forth. What's the shipping situation like on that side of the ocean? Are you seeing similar trends?
No, not really, because this year I only bought toys in my own country. So I'm not looking beyond the borders of where I live anymore. I'm just looking closer to home. And of course, prices have boomed all over the world, also over here. So I'm thinking twice before I buy now. Maybe I'm ahead of conversation, and we're going to talk about this later in the stream. But no, I'm lucky that we got a handful of shops in the Netherlands. It's not a lot for a whole country, but they're good shops and they deliver. They got to stay. We all know Boonsart, I
I
suppose.
was going to say Boonsart.
Yeah, and we got a few other great winners like TBH and Old School Toys and Toy Boys and Retrovirus, and those 5 are my main to go to. And you see the occasional video on my channel that I bought again some parts to complete this Astro Viper with parts from Boonsart, or you know. And the good thing is the country is open again, so events are happening again.
Right.
I can go places where I can buy myself a shredder or what have you. So it's I don't have to go beyond the Netherlands to buy now. But
What was the?
But on the same token,
Didn't you send some Playmobil to Keith Knight?
oh yeah, I
That's
did.
Mexico again.
I did. I bought a bunch of Western Playmobil, and our good buddy who's in the chat, Keith Knight, is building a world of Playmobil on his loft, and I was like,
it's awesome.
I don't have room for this. Where am I going to put this fortress? And I got a Western city and a stagecoach and some bandits, and I love that. I loved it as a kid. I still love it, but what am I going to do with it? And then I was thinking like, oh, there's one person on this globe I can make the happiest guy in the world if I give it to him. It's all going to Keith, and I didn't have to pay a ton of money for it. It was the heaviest box I ever sent, I believe.
Yeah.
I think Keith can react it was a big box with everything in it, and weighs quite a bit, that Playmobil, but it wasn't. I don't know what it costed. 60 euro, not even 50 euros, something like that.
Oh, that's
to
not
get
bad.
It's
from
not
here
too
in the
bad.
Netherlands to the UK. It's not too bad, and it got there in one piece. So, but
Yeah, Keith's building an amazing Playmobil area. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah,
He's really gotten into it. It's really cool.
I think now he's calling it Miwaville.
Don't do that, Keith. Don't do that.
He says at the rate he's collecting, I may have to build a Playmobil city in the house and sleep in the loft.
Yeah.
Nice. And it's something where, like, even though it hasn't directly affected you, Chris, because you're able to get things, it has caused you to change what you were doing before. Like, because before you
Yeah.
would go wherever the deals were, but shipping being so expensive, you're like, nah, screw that. I'm not doing that. Uh, and within the states, I think it's just we are a country of opportunistic people, scummy as a culture, I would say, because I got
Speak for yourself.
I'm saying culturally, I'm not that way. I don't feel I am as a culture, because a large number of our compatriots are kind of leaning into the shipping costs and stuff, and
Yeah.
it's I I had just sent him along Jim Largo. I sent him along the Superpowers Batmobile and a Robin, and I remember giving him a really hard time because I pulled the Robin out of the box. It's the cleanest Robin I've seen in 30 years. The action's perfect. There's not a scuff on the guy, hardly. I'm like, I should give you mine. You keep this one. I'm not doing that. It was his. But I sent it down to him, and I'm like, well, now you have to have a Batman. And he's like, I might want a Superman as well. So I immediately opened the 6-pack and went looking.
Yep.
And so now a Superman and Batman just arrived at the box today. I got to go pick them up and send them down
Nice.
to him. But it's something we're going to talk about later, but I want to just plant the seed. The inflation on Superpowers collection in the last 8 months is insane. But the shipping for 2 figures, 2 3 3/4 inch figures, was like $15.
Oh, yeah,
15. They're not even as big as this bottle, and I get this shipping on this motherfucker for free. I don't.
What's that? Your Vita gummies?
They're apple cider vinegar gummies. Actually,
Oh, expensive.
keep the old metabolism going. Gotta keep shedding that weight however you can. Because when I first started doing videos, this shirt would have been like all bundled up and like over my man boobs and shit. Now it actually fits like a goddamn shirt. The whole thing. The whole thing. But I want to come back up here before we go into this further. Wishing a speedy recovery to Gerard O'Connor.
Definitely
Apparently
Gerard.
just had some surgery on his face, and he's a pretty man. So I'm hoping he'll be even prettier when it's done. We love you very much, and get well fast, buddy. Glad to give you some respite from that.
Heal well, sir.
Absolutely. So, while we're still on the subject of shipping here, Keith Knight says, I've been able to ship to Australia throughout the virus thing. Use a courier that's both quick and good on the price. Lucky, really, because others have struggled. You're not wrong.
Yeah. I've struggled on mine.
I have so much stuff to send to Australia right now.
Yeah, I've got a few things to send to, and I think I'm going to send mine to Keith and just eventually have him send them. Or, hell, I even thought about bringing it to Denver when Pete and I meet, and Pete can then cart it to Joe Fest to meet up with Tony, but then he's got to get it back. So
yeah, then he's like,
here's an extra suitcase full of stuff to take home with you. So yeah, probably just going to end up shipping it to Keith and have Keith send it over to Australia.
Because I don't want to like for international flights, so I would imagine it's exorbitantly expensive. But if you were just flying from because that's one of the things that I always say, if I'm going somewhere distant for a convention and I'm flying, I budget an extra $100 just in case I get something big that I want to then check on flight and everything. You have to do that. But now I can't even imagine what that kind of shit would cost, let alone an international flight, because now you're going flight to flight to flight to flight. Each time you're getting that charge racked up. It's insane. It's like the powers of be have cracked the code on how to milk, us downtrodden regular citizens. Like, we'll go get their money from shipping. Ha ha ha! It's a conspiracy. All the lizard people are like, yes. Cobra La's up there like they run UPS and FedEx and DHL and shit. It wouldn't surprise me if Serpentor just drops off a DHL package at my front door. Times have been hard. This I command. I can see it. I don't know what you got.
I was once a gate agent.
Don't ever do that again.
Yes, was once a postman. All right, sorry. Had to say it. Had to say it. I'm sorry. But it's easy to blame this on the pandemic and everything, but I really, this is not the only cause of this. But we talk about perceived inflation, perceived value really ramping up over the last really 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Because we were already seeing it in the gaming community. You were starting to see it in toys. Where just people you'd be able to go to a flea market or a boot sale, someplace where they're bringing their junk and they're giving you a good deal on something that no one else wants. But through word of mouth, various reality shows, YouTube, whatever, people for whatever reason they got like the stench of greed shoved up their nose, and now everywhere you go, everything costs more everywhere. Have you guys? I kind of look at it. It's just been a natural pipe up until about I'd say, last 15 months have been insane. But
the last year and a half's been just
And some of it I think is maybe it's a certain toy line, but in some cases you'll see stuff where people, just anything is going up.
Well, Jeff, you've seen it ebb and flow for comics. Talk about that.
Yeah, comics have really done it too. I actually think it's a big difference between a modern collector and a vintage collector too. I think the vintage collectors play the longer game a little bit longer because those things have been around for a while, and it's not like you got to get it off the shelf because it's not going to be on the shelf and you got to go hunt at Target or whatever it is, or these exclusives and stuff. And so I think with the classified lines and the He-Man lines, even though the He-Man stuff seems like it's a lot more accessible, I think you're seeing some of these lines that have come out that are modern that have really driven the frenzy part of it. I mean, look at trading cards. You hear about stories about Target's no longer going to put them on the shelves because people are killing each other basically over them. And I think that it's all COVID driven to some degree because people are having this downtime and they're getting their stuff back out of their attics and going, man, I need to collect this or figure this. I have time to reconnect with my childhood. I'm going to jump back into this. and that's I mean, I'm guilty of it too to some degree. I've only been back into the actual hardcore collecting for about 2 years for GI Joes, but I've always done comics and Star Wars. I've always had my collection, but I've always kind of trickled into it. But yeah, the prices for all that stuff has been crazy, and I think between the online stuff, some of these resellers have been really great to have access to. You look at like Chris said, Boone's Art, their prices are great, but I think all this modern stuff has really driven a lot of this too, because people are jumping. That's what a lot of them are jumping back into. I think that's just my opinion.
And with the modern stuff, like you say, it's for most of it, it's such a small window of opportunity. Particularly when we're talking about like the Marvel Legends line in particular.
Puppet Master.
Yeah, less so.
The manufacturers are.
Right, less so with the classified stuff. It's getting better-ish.
Yeah.
Marvel Legends is not, especially if it's an exclusive piece, like one of those Walgreens exclusives.
Look at that.
I'll get there. All right, that one hurts a lot. Okay, I'll get there. I guess you responded to the email, Pete, for Sunman.
I called him.
Okay, so for those that don't know, Mattel Creations did a pre-order for a collector's edition special version of Sunman, along with many other things, the Monday after PowerCon.
Yep.
And those pre-orders,
Wow.
meaning things that are not yet, manufactured, sold out in 8 minutes.
That's cool artwork.
At the longest level, right? Now, fast forward 3 months, 4 months. And they sent out an email to everyone that bought a Sunman and said, just so you know, there's a slight delay on the shipping. If you still want your Sunman that you already paid for, they took their money. If you still want it, reply to this email. If you don't reply to the email, we'll cancel your order. So the money's been sitting in their damn bank account for how many months collecting interest? But if you don't want it,
You gotta tell us.
Well, Jim, I think right there what you said is a biggie about it, because modern collectors have to deal with the shenanigans and, like I said, the puppet mastery of corporations versus vintage, where the corporation's out of that loop. And all you got to do is just track down your toy you like and, deal with a reseller of some sort, whether it's personal or online or whatever. But man, trying to do these Kickstarters, trying to find things in the exclusives, trying to deal with emails or supply chain problems. It's the main reason all this stuff is in boxes right here. This is all modern stuff. I'm getting out of it. I'm done.
I canceled $500, actually more than that, of pre-orders across, with the exception being Motu Origins at a Big Bad Toy Store. That's like my I keep them as my safety. I have to say Target's doing better with slowly getting in a few. I couldn't believe I saw a few on the pegs, other than He-Man. But yeah, Joe and vintage collection, Star Wars, Black Series. I'm like, what am I doing? Because they literally get it, and by the time they have these, shipping in January of 2023, and you're like, wow, that's really cool. And then when you get it, you're like, oh, swing.
Thanks.
Anyway,
and you had a real epiphany about a month ago, didn't you?
Yeah, I was like, it's almost like a bag of potato chips that Leslie got at Target. I'm like, oh, cool. Put it over there.
Right. Yeah, the last one I'm doing is I'm guilty of it. I backed the Sky Striker project for Hasbro, and that's the last modern thing I'm getting.
I mean, I'm still dabbling in modern, but I've definitely rolled it back to a lot more vintage that I can find in the shops. I mean, Chris, you do a great job of scouring shops and online now for vintage, because you can get it. It's not a pre-order shipping in December of 2024.
Right. Yeah, I think in all of my life I've ever done one pre-order, because I don't like it. I don't like it's a personal thing. I don't want to wait for a toy. If I pay for it, I want to have it. If it takes a month, okay, I want to have it in a month, but I don't want to wait years. And that was for the Castle Grayskull set from Origins. That's the only pre-order I believe I've ever done. And further, I just go for all toys, with the exception of Masters of the Universe Origins or the occasionally classified G.I. Joe figure that I really like Beachhead. It's a favorite figure of mine. Need to get that. I'm doing a cosplay of Mandalorian, so I had to get this guy.
That's a great one.
But no, it's all vintage toys for me. And you don't have to pre-order vintage toys, because when you look long enough, hard enough for it, you can find it. And getting a vehicle complete, like the G.I. Joe Whale, took me over a year. I just found the last part for the Barter Hill playset for Mask, a small part that goes underneath the fuel pumps, and that took me a year and a half, or maybe even longer. That's half the fun. But I don't mind. It's fun chasing down those parts, and they're not too expensive, and that fits perfectly in the present time we're living now with everything that's going on and prices booming. That's fine for me,
Because there's a lot of great modern figures out there. I mean, some of the Black Series, I love to do army building and stuff, and
Sure.
and the troop, some of the Star Wars Black Series troopers are freaking phenomenal.
yeah.
The detail on it is so cool, and I still might pick one up here and there just to have for a display, but I can't collect that stuff just because I have to deal with all that crap.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm getting into vintage Asian stuff.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Nice.
And so I'm
the
trying to
picture of
get
that Cobra Commander. That's great.
yeah I love
So
some of the
good.
more obscure stuff like that, and I've got a whole pile of Fun School Russian GI Joe figures over there, and I know it's obscure and it's a complete niche market, but I just love the artwork on it.
And that the thing is, no one has to justify to anyone else why you collect what you
Yeah.
collect. To
Right.
me, it's like get what you want, and that's fine. And I thought that I was doing myself a favor when I decided I was going to get the Bespin World and only do Star Wars for that. And then I thought, okay, I'll go one better. I'm going to only do figures from the Vintage Collection line because they've already announced the Bespin Guards and most of the other figures are already out. I thought, oh, this will be easy and less expensive. Not so much.
Not so much.
I mean, just to secure 3 Bespin Guards, it took me 24 hours of checking Walmart on their collector corner or whatever the fuck it's called.
Again, you have to deal with that corporation.
And be sure to ship them in a flexible envelope for maximum damage.
Right.
But you guys know I'm not really a card back guy.
Yeah, you're not a card back guy.
I save the card backs for like tentpole figures, and all of my Origins card backs I do keep just because I'm going to be a retail completionist. It makes sense, right? But anything else, fuck it. Throw it out. I don't care. Burn it. That's the one thing. Like when I buy a house, I'm going to have a burn pit built just for toy waste, for cardboard boxes and card backs. I'm sick and tired of carrying cardboard boxes to a dumpster.
Yep.
I am so tired of that. I'm going to burn
Break them down.
My
Break them down.
Oh yeah, and that's going to be a special like Saturday morning live stream feature on the channel once I do buy a house and do that. It's going to be, burn the cardboard. So I'll have me, like you have the fire roaring in the background, and I'll have coffee, and we'll talk for a couple minutes.
That's going to get people fired up.
Aha! Yes.
Oh wow, that was on Pete. Pete should have done that. Schaefer, that was for you.
I'm rubbing
It'll be a flaming good time. But there's a couple standout figures that are proving really hard to get from the Vintage Collection. Like I can find a Luke, I can find a Han Solo, I can find a Leia. Like those aren't too bad. Might pay a little more than retail. That's okay. Because I missed them when they came out. I understand that. But the 2 figures I'm having the biggest problem finding in the Vintage Collection line for this. C-3PO and R2-D2. No, I have
Calrissian.
I
He's
have
on every peg everywhere.
Right. That was the joke, yeah. But I have the first version. I already...
But yeah, R2 and C-3PO? Yeah.
Yeah. Like what? Those should be 2 of the easiest ones to... They used to be the easiest ones to find back in the day because they made so fucking many.
I like Daniel Dorian's comment. Vintage card backs I keep, modern I say fuck them. I mean, I asked these guys, this group the other day, it's like, what do you guys do with your boxes for your modern stuff? I don't collect a ton of modern, but it's like I take them out and display them because I love the figures. So do you keep the boxes or not? And everyone kind of does things a little bit differently. Pete, I know you keep a lot of them and just store them. Yep, and I am for right now, but they're taking up space in my garage, and it's like, do I even want to do that? Because it's like I don't think I'm going to eventually resell them. I don't know.
Yeah, that was kind of the thing. It's like when I first started collecting Marvel Legends in earnest and in that scale, those boxes are beautiful. It's easy to repackage and so forth. So it was at first I was like, I think I'm going to save these, and I spent a day with my first big Marvel Legends order. De-boxing all the figures and then putting the boxes in these like Aldi bags and then taking them to storage. Then one day I went to storage and I saw there were like 6, 7, 8 of these bags full of empty boxes. I'm like, what am I doing? Like, what, this is no, because I don't have any designs on reselling any of this because I am pretty laser focused with what I want, to have. Even my troop building is really small,
Yeah.
so I'm not going to do that whole thing. So at that point, it's like, am I supposed to keep 4, boxes of this thing? I got 4 of them. What's at what point is it like? Um, is it feasible? I don't know.
Right.
I got a question from chat from Michael Schaefer. I don't want it to go by, asking, could I look for earlier releases in the vintage collection for R2 CPU or back to the 3? I didn't even know the Black Series had 3.75 versions. As long as they scale to vintage collection, like either of those would be fine. But what I've looked for tends to be like it's such a price height that I'm just not into it. But I'm like they're saying, like there's a certain point where the modern collecting becomes akin to the vintage because you're then just doing the search thing. And I frankly don't know enough about them to know which versions, because I could see there's a C3PO that's coming out, but he's got the different colored leg or whatever.
Oh, the red leg, yeah.
And I'm like, I don't need that. I just want C3PO, man.
I don't want stuff from a crappy movie.
Just get you a vintage one. But yeah, with the TVC, a mint on card TVC figure from just 2, 3, 4 years ago, the prices on those, you're like, holy shit! I can pick up just a loose C3PO from Kenner for cheaper.
Yeah.
Now, I guess you could search for, hey, mangled, destroyed, bent card, and it would reduce the price, but still.
Yeah, the only one I've kept, the only Black Series one I've kept is my Sand Trooper.
Nice.
And I guess he's valuable now. Number 3. This is like the first. I don't know. I'm gonna probably sell it. And when I sell stuff, I don't sell stuff to make money. I sell stuff to finance the stuff I really, really want. It's more of a culling. It's a culling process, and so that's why these boxes here are going bye too. Is because there's some, and like I said, the hunt stuff is half the fun. So getting the funds to propagate the hunt of some of the Star Wars stuff I need to get an R2 with a lightsaber. The pop-up lightsaber version, but those are astronomical these days.
Got $500.
Yeah, pretty much.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Crazy.
Just the lightsaber will cost you $200 plus.
I mean, I've got the Stan Solo one, and it's perfect and it's awesome because I love Stan Solo stuff. But eventually, I'd like to get a real one, but you never know.
Speaking of Stan Solo, how about
there you go.
Hubba hubba.
Goodness just showed
up. Side boob.
Ooh la la la, if you will.
Ooh la la.
Ever made that joke before? Ever? No.
Yeah.
But I find it interesting though that there's now that modern collecting has gone on as long as it has, where you have these toy lines that are 3, 4, 5 years deep. That is becoming they're starting to kind of cross over a little bit. So you have a lot of the same philosophies happening. But even stuff that a few years ago were barely on the radar for some people, or just super niche, so that people weren't like overcharging and stuff. And Superpowers collection for me is kind of that thing. If you go on YouTube, basically it's my videos and like 2 other guys on the whole of YouTube, aside from like the random one-offs of just random like, look at my collection, right? There's not a lot of information out there. I regard them as fairly niche, because if you were you had to be the right age at the right time, because they were like a flash in the pan, they were gone, and arguably only the first 2 series are worth a damn. But even last year, when I decided I was going to go after them, and as everyone who watches this channel knows, I went ham and I went nuts, and I bought the first 2 series. I really did, and I have them, and I'm super happy, and I'm proud, and I'm good. But I'm always on the lookout. You never know when you might find a good piece or an upgrade, the dreaded word, Yep. And when I went to find this Batman and Superman for Jim Largo, like the base price, the average price for a Batman in okay condition without a cape is $40 now.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
I got
Yeah.
my minty one for 25 8 months ago.
It's one of the few I still don't have, and every time I search for it, I'm like, holy hell!
You don't have a superpowers Batman?
I do not. I
Guess
have
what,
a Robin.
Pete?
Oh,
I have
oh,
the
Guess
Batmobile.
what, Pete?
oh.
I bought 2 of them.
You
while I
bought
was
two?
searching.
We'll
I
talk
bought
later.
2. So,
Pete, way to name drop. Way to name drop, Pete, and get what you want all the time. He always gets the best stuff. Holy hell.
Look, it's
So-
about community, Jeff.
Whatever. I'm going to go to a toy store and find everything I want to within 10 miles of me.
I'm going tomorrow.
I'm gonna take
Son of a
care
bitch.
him. I'm going to clean up the other Batman, and you're going to get a Batman. No cape on him, but the Cape Master can hook you up pretty easily.
Cape Master.
Yeah.
We'll get you a Batman very soon, sir. Don't worry about that. I'll take care of you. Because it's just this, like you say, it's about community. Because if we weren't working together, there's so much stuff that we wouldn't have. Like I told Pete many moons ago, like you're gonna finish, you're gonna complete that damn destroyer. Like I was on it.
You will.
I was
Keith
like,
has too many projects.
yeah. So I knew had in my head I knew what he was missing, and every time I came across a good lot, I would just send him the links and just hound him.
Yep.
Come on, don't be
Like,
stupid.
dude,
Don't sleep on
look at
this.
this. Look at this link. Look at this one.
And then he finally pulled the trigger, and I'm very, very happy that it's done.
And I got a box with it too.
Right, and that was like the and that was a really good deal, as I recall. It was like
That was a
like,
hell of a deal. I literally pulled off the interstate to do that deal.
You're dedicated, man. You're dedicated.
like more than sub 100. It was like down there, wasn't it? It was
It was like $85 or something.
yeah.
So,
It
It
had
was
everything I needed plus the box, and I'm like, I can't believe it's almost like the guy was in my head, like, you need this.
right.
so speaking of shipping woes and boxes, Pete, did that that Millennium Falcon box ever? Did you ever find that? So tell him that story.
Oh, Jeff, you're gonna make me cry on camera.
Rip off the band-aid.
Oh
Rip it off.
Yeah, just rip it off. So, like many of us do, I was up late, 2 in the morning on Macari, and all of a sudden in my Star Wars feed, blink, new listing, boxed, complete, Millennium Falcon, Kenner, and I'm like, okay, and I look at the price, and I'm like, oh, you got it.
Okay.
I'm like, this is very, I'm like, I have my childhood one, but I need the arm and the training ball like a lot of us, and I want the box, and it was the Empire Strikes Back box, ESP box. So I'm like, ooh, yes. So I'm like, I'm in, and got it. I think it was, Macari, you have like 3 days to ship. The guy shipped it. It was coming from like New England area, so not horribly far away. And all of a sudden I'm getting alerts to say, well, your package has arrived. And I'm like, there's no package. I'm like, we got a Ring camera at this joint. I'm like, there's no package. And so immediately I want everything to be above board. So I'm contacting the seller and Macari to say, hey, Scuba no have the package.
Scuba need.
I'm like, what the heck? And Macari's like, well, give it a couple days because of shipping delays and etc. We want it, and I was like, I'm all about that. I'll give it another day, but I'm like, it's literally saying delivered. And I check with the post office. The post office says, well, because of privacy laws, we can't tell you other than the address you've given us does not match what the seller shipped it to. And no, we're not telling you the address it went to. That's all we can say. And so I'm contacting the seller like, what the heck, dude? Like, how hard is it to get the address right? Like, you got the city. I'm like, is it down the road? Is it, So
Yes, probably.
Yeah, most likely. Yeah. So, and then the guy's like, don't get your panties in a wad. And I'm like, I have not typed using exclamation points. I'm like, I am not being overly excited. I was very nice and
That's not you, Pete, to get it like that either.
not typically.
No,
I mean, I was on the inside. I was like, nah, But yeah, he did refund, but I'm not out money, but somewhere in the area is somebody with a lovely boxed Millennium Falcon. Yeah.
I'm sorry to make you relive that,
for
Pete.
a great price.
So, how long ago did that happen, Pete?
That was about 2.5 months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was
Have you checked the local pawn shops?
No, but I
That's
should.
Actually a good. That's a good idea.
That's a great idea. I should. I better go in there and be like, you gotta be.
Right.
Like,
my toy.
Hey, $300. You need a Millennium Falcon? And be like,
yeah. Yeah, it's messed up.
Shipping woes.
So yeah, shipping woes.
Yeah, that's
it's not just about being charged too much.
No, definitely not. And it all kind of ties together where we mentioned, you see that prices go up. But what I think that, and this is something I know Chris can speak to, by and large, for the most part, dedicated aftermarket toy shops like brick and mortar shops have been the one bastion of sanity for many of us. When I went into Dallas Vintage Toys about a month ago, I was like, this is all very reasonable. And I see this big wall of Power of the Force 2 vehicles, and they're all like affordable and in good shape, and they're in the
double
box.
the value.
Yeah,
right. And it wasn't always that way. And I feel like a lot of the vendors have gotten wise to the fact that, well, if we can draw them in with reasonable pricing, where we're still making it a decent profit, we're going to become the only game in town again. So that's how they kind of compete. Some shops
Dallas Vintage has good stuff. I like their online shopping and stuff too. I mean, they're right in the ballpark for prices and stuff for most things. Some things you got to watch out for online, but yeah.
And in person, it's even more reasonable. They're like in person, really good people, clean, well laid out store. Oh, I can't wait to go back, which should be soon.
I'd love to visit that. Yeah,
one day.
But Chris, Pete, you've been doing a lot of shopping in the shops recently, and can you speak to what is the same or different from your experience pre-lockdown? Because you guys just opened back up.
That's going to be difficult because that's such a long time ago. It feels like a different world before we went into the lockdown. So I can even remember stepping in. I think that could be happening. I'm not sure that prices are fairer in the shops in order to compete with a lot of the online things that are booming in price. I've been lucky enough to visit Toy Boys in the Netherlands and Old School Toys in the Netherlands, who have actual shops, and prices are fair there, and that's fun to buy in a shop like that. So that's great. But even with Boonsart, some things are priced expensive, some things are fair in the middle, some things are cheap, and there's still bargains to be made, and that makes it fun.
That's the fun right there. Yeah, it's all about the hunting of stuff anymore.
It's indeed, and one of those toy lines I discovered for myself, others watching this probably know it for a longer time, is this toy line. This is one very highly affordable toy line amongst others that have just boomed in. If you want to go into GoBots, and I bought this at Boonsart for, how much was it again? At €10, maybe a bit more than that.
Nice.
But yeah, it's complete, in good condition, and It looks so 80s.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
And my brother had this one back in the 80s, and I had another one, which was a Porsche 928,
Mm-hmm.
and such cool memories from this. So I picked this up, and it's fun when you check out in the basket and you do the payment. You think, oh, 70 euros, but I got this for Bow the Hill. I got this for my GI Joe Astro Viper. I even got a GoBot. I got some other parts. That's fun again, you know.
I love that, Chris. You find a line that's super affordable still. I mean, there's so many of us that do GI Joe or He-Man or Transformers or Star Wars, whatever, that's gotten out of reach. But you got stuff like GoBots, or like I do, Adventure People, and
Yeah,
these are still affordable. And and they're so well made that they're in great shape still, and they're around longer than most of those other lines. And you got stuff though that are even some of the more niche ones like Micronauts or Shogun Warriors that are astronomical to get into, and it'd be great. Or I love Shogun Warrior, especially the packaging. But to try to find a package die-cast Shogun Warrior, you're looking at $600-700 for things that are decent like that. And so I love finding a line that's affordable that still you can get into, and you can get try to get as much as you can. And for me, I have an emotional attachment to it, and it's awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to show you something that I bought earlier this year, and that costed me €100, but it was a bargain. And I went to the guy's house to pick it up, and it was his childhood collection. I'm just going to twist the camera and take you along with me in the toy room. And
this is nuts.
Travel time.
Look at this stuff.
Wow.
Zoids.
Is that the Zoids? Zoids.
Look at them all.
You got a lot of it.
Boxes. Oh my god.
All right, we're going to go big.
You've got a ton of it. That's awesome.
Wow.
€100, including the boxes and the descriptions. It's a complete Zoids collection that I bought from the guy. So there are bargains to be found, and that answers one of the points of the topic of the stream, Jim. Anything changed the way you collect these days? Yeah, I'm definitely looking for those bargains now and not overpaying. Yep. My budget has gotten a lot smaller because the payments I have to do each month now for gas, electricity, that just boomed, went up with more than 50%. So my spending budget for toys is decreased significantly. So that's why I'm looking for those bargains. And I think this month I haven't bought a toy, and that hasn't happened in months or years.
Wow.
So and the month before the convention, the Comic-Con I went to, I just got Origins She-Ra, and I got the Mando, and I just a handful of toys, and these don't cost too much, those Origins figures. So I'm spending so much less on toys now.
Chris, I have one to send to you. I picked up. I think I showed it to you. I wasn't sure. This is. I know you love a Mask and GI Joe, so this crosses the stream.
Yeah.
Matt Tracker. Cool. GI Joe.
That's so cool.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome.
It's a modern figure. And I think it came. Let's see what the year it came out in. 2008. But it's just kind of cool.
Yeah.
I saw that. I was like, and the modern Joe stuff that the mid 2000 Joe stuff is still pretty reasonable in price.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of cool stuff. Once they went into the new construction, this one is still an O-ring.
Mm-hmm.
But but this one I couldn't pass this up for a carded one. It's just cool. I thought I need to send that to Chris. So
it's minty too.
For a month. It's in perfect shape. Yeah, this looks like someone just took it off the shelf.
Well, and to be fair, like when people say it looks like it just came off the shelf, I kind of always look at that with like through thin eyes, because I remember the days of going to a store and like the little peg holder would be like taped and there'd be like staples in it and shit.
Yeah.
And because some kid ripped it off and then his mom didn't buy it for him, and then they had to
get it to hang again.
Yeah. Like I remember this would have been 2005. For my birthday at the time, I was playing a lot of Halo online, a lot of Halo 2. And I was a shotgun ape, as they say. I always find the shotgun and go, "Hey guys!" Bloop, 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 bloop.
Yeah.
I was ruthless, and my wife at the time and a bunch of friends got together and they scoured and they found a Halo Master Chief figure that came with a shotgun, and the only
Nice.
one they could find was this beat up card back that had like 7 staples across the top with tape on it. And I never opened it. I ended up
Dumb.
selling it years and years later. And but I always looked at that and just went, man, if it didn't have the staples. But we got a super chat here from Bjorn Jorgensen, says just cause. Thank you, brother.
Nice.
Appreciate that.
Doing the Jody.
And another
Awesome.
from Gerard. Same thing. Much respect right back at you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Really appreciate that support in the stream.
Gerard, take care of yourself.
So, but every time someone says, "Oh, the Minty are just off the peg," I'm like, I remember what the pegs used to look like.
Yeah.
So that's
Okay, so this one's just off the truck. Not even off the peg.
I would say fresh out of the carton. That's
Yeah,
the term I like to use. Fresh out of the carton.
Well,
Yeah.
but I've been buying a few carded figures recently, and not because I want to get into carded, but just because and the whole idea of the unpunched card and the price value between those two is just stupid to me. It's like, really, for a little piece of cardboard that just happens to still be there. You're paying for a
Star
journey.
Wars figure from back in the day.
Yeah, you're paying for
yeah.
journey for you're paying for the journey of something that you have no idea what really happened. Did it sit in a warehouse, never got distributed to a reseller? It's like you're guessing on that. It's like it doesn't matter. It's just, I mean, it's cool,
Hey,
but it shouldn't matter that much.
I've been known to pick up the at Walmart, or actually, yeah, it was just Walmart, not Target. Walmart, where the little pills, popped off the back of the Origins figures
To put them back in
pile and going, all right, which one matches? And
Really?
Oh yeah, I'm sick.
Another super chat from Connor Fuller. Thanks, because Jim drinks red ale. Damn right. Damn right. Thank you, man.
I got to see these Fun School. I got to see. Yeah, all the Fun School ones I've gotten recently are punched.
Jeff has an online shopping addiction. Should we talk about
I do.
that?
It's kind of ridiculous. So
that's a cool figure.
These are the Fun School figures.
And you're picking them up for a great price.
Yeah.
$25 for each one of these.
Yeah, hold them up.
Oh, nice. 25. That's not bad.
25 for each of these, and that's about what they go for. 25 to 30. I've discovered the whole Whatnot app recently, and to the detriment of the space in my room, and so it's tapered off now. But for about a month there, it was kind of ugly.
He's doing like you did with Superpowers, Jim. I mean, he's like, I must have you.
Yeah. You're getting stuff. You're getting things that are like, this should be a $30 figure, and you're getting it for $10.
Right.
I got in there, and I got $15 for the a $15 raffle for this, and picked this up, and won the raffle.
So good.
And it's $160 figure. I mean, it's the Chinese one, but I think this came out 92.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah, but how many people do you know that have that? Like,
right?
That's,
not many.
That's one of the coolest things,
Yeah.
Yep.
I think I'm gonna sell these Fun School ones, because I bought them cheap, and I think I can make a little bit of money on them to finance the things I really want to have to keep.
Yeah, and it's something where I find that I think we're going to go right into this because you're certainly wetting the tip with that.
Whoa.
Oh, okay. Hey, look, if you want innuendo, like, I'll slap you in the face with it. Don't worry about that. Just don't say anything about Lego tigers in this chat. We'll be just fine. Hey, there's a previous live stream that was a whole thing. They broke me over this Lego Tyler, but
nice.
there is a certain point where you have to decide what's important. You're making space, which is exactly the trip that you're on, Jeff.
Yep.
and there is a certain degree of, okay, well, now it's time to sell these off for whatever reason. And there's also the proactive, like, let me get a good deal and then flip them, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I I haven't done that a ton with toys. I have a handful of things that I know I could probably stand to let go of and make a modest profit off of it. And in all fairness, I probably should do more of it. But what I want to ask any of you who have done this, but particularly Jeff, like, what's that experience been like as a collector looking to sell in earnest? Because I know none of you would be looking to rip anybody off, but um,
Nope.
what challenges
Mm-mm.
have you faced? What kind of things have you ran into with that?
For me, it's the emotional mountain to get over at first for letting things go. Um,
Sure.
and you got to real and you got to. I've really had to filter my wants and needs a little bit more than I have in the past, and say it. I'm a pack rat to some degree, and I think we all are. Um, and so you have to say, will I be okay without this? and and I probably will. And what is my emotional attachment versus just the idea of having it?
Mhm.
And do I really need to keep this? And so once I got through that, and I've really had to go through that with my comic book collection, because I've sold some comic books recently that I have a huge emotional attachment to. But I sold them to get a few things to get rid, to it was time, um, financially and personally, and just room and that kind of stuff. But the toy stuff, I've got a ton of things in here right now I'm not very emotionally attached to, and that's what's all getting ready to go bye bye.
Mm.
And I'm hoping from a business side, I can flip that stuff then to make a little bit of money to get some of the things I really want to get. But it's such a pain in the ass to go through and try to, oh, where am I going to sell this at? What kind of shipping fees do I have to pay? What kind of online fees do I have to pay? Can I find somebody locally to buy this? All that stuff that you have to go through. It's like time versus money. Once I'm through this, I'm not going to do that again.
Yeah, where you really have to just you have to draw the line
You
twice.
do.
Like where you go, okay, I'm gonna sell some stuff, but once that's done, I'm gonna be super focused on what I'm collecting
Yeah.
and never allow myself to get to a place where I have to make these decisions.
Yeah. I've spent the
And
last 2 years going, oh, I want that. I want that. I want that. I want that. Now I got to say, stop that. I can't do that.
right,
I have to say, because my collection is in this focus, I have to find these things to fill it out and flesh it out and make it what I want it to be.
and on that note, I've got a themed super chat for you, where Bjorn had to mention the damn Lego tiger. Okay, and yes, Captain, that is the bunghole tiger that Lego had to approve. And because it relates ever so slightly, we're talking about things that are cool to have, but you kind of were like, you know, I got this lady
Oh,
a
Yes.
couple weeks ago,
Oh,
Tigra.
and you know why I bought this? It's because I was sick and tired of seeing
She's cool.
this on Instagram, and I'm like, well, why not me? Why don't I have her?
Right?
I don't have a huge attachment to this character. I like this character. I loved all of her stuff at West Coast Avengers. I think the sculpt is great. It's a great figure for
Mhm.
what it is. There's a ton you can
Yeah.
do with it from that standpoint. But as far as it being a tentpole piece in my collection, not really. I
Yeah.
see. I did. I just threw
yeah,
it. I don't care. It's fine.
yeah.
The figure will be okay. I don't care about the card back. I'm not saving that card back. But the
I
idea
kind of
being
I
that
kind of do the quick filter idea. It's like, or the quick move. If I had to quickly move, if I had to grab things and go, like a fire in the house or something, what would I grab? And
oh,
yeah, that's not a completely accurate way of looking at your collection, but there are certain ways that does help you prioritize, and you got to prioritize a little bit.
well,
true.
I think rather than prioritize, I choose to itemize because I keep a list of
Yeah,
everything with my insurance, so and what the current
I've
value
done
is,
that.
so I
Yep,
can, and that's why you always
yep,
look at the fine print and look at replacement value on
Uh-huh.
these
yeah,
things. So uh, yeah, and I have the advantage of not having anything from my childhood. This is all newly procured stuff. And to speak to that tiger thing, like you all remember the early videos. I'm like, I'm going to collect certain things. I'm going to kind of keep myself on this certain path. And blah, blah, blah.
Straight and
Then
narrow.
and then the Migos started to arrive, and I'm like, yeah, I could get some Migos.
Yeah.
Because I got the Playmates Picard from Nerd Rage, and I got the Spider-Man and Captain America Migos from Salzburg. He also sent me a custom Dr. Fate, I believe. It was either him or somebody else. And then it became like, well, I kind of want a Kirk and a Khan, and I've never seriously looked at those. I looked at them once. I'm like, I mean, but if I walked into a store, which I never do, I just don't. I just don't. But if I did and they were on the shelf, you damn tootin', at retail price, I'm grabbing them. They're going home with me. But in July of last year, you said, hey, you think you're going to start collecting like some focused Mego? Fuck no. It would have been like Spider-Man, and that would have been it. And I have one. And I don't have to go any further with that, But then it feels like, but the rest of them are lonely. They need friends.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's the same thing with Legends, like where it was, I'm gonna go stick with the comic accurate stuff, but then you start to find that some of the MCU stuff is really great, and then a box of MCU Marvel Legends shows up at your door, and you're like, okay, I'm in for both now. I don't care. And but I'm not a completionist with either of those things. I pick and choose. But even in picking and choosing a line that big, there's just a lot of stuff. And then you got Origins where I'm like retail complete, which I'm not backing off of. And
so are you guys? Because all three of you guys do Motu. I don't do Motu, especially the new stuff. Are you three all completists for the new stuff?
Yes, with the exception of like Sunman. In that offshoot, then it's like, all right, back to.
And that's why I said retail complete. So for me, I don't have any investment in the Sunman line, but I want to. Like, this is what's interesting for me about the Sunman stuff is that this is totally new to me. And it's this great little like legacy piece that Mattel is giving to us. I'm really into it.
Definitely.
But when it comes to like the extra special crazy Mattel Creations crap, I don't care. If I can get it, like with the Mysteries of Grayskull, I have it. It's fine. But it wasn't ever going to be my Grayskull will never be complete if I don't have this. It was never going to be that. But if it's available retail, I do want it. But I still go back and I get some of the old stuff too. Like I have a complete Snake Mountain now. I have a near complete Crystal Castle, but it will never be complete because I don't need half the crap that came with it. And I've obviously got the Origins Grayskull, and I'm happy. I have no desire to get a vintage Grayskull. Now, if I walk into a flea market and someone's got a complete one in good shape for $20, yeah, it's going home. But I'm not spending the money when I have the Origins one. But it's one of these things where you pick and choose, and the longer we go in this line with Origins, I really start to wonder if we're going to get a Snake Mountain without it being, because it keeps hinting at crowdfunding this shit. And the last crowdfunded Snake Mountain went over like a house of fire. The classics, $700 freaking dollars for that piece of trash.
Oh God.
Yeah.
The size
That's
of
ridiculous.
That's when it was new. Now it goes for like $2-3 grand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm worried that they're going to do the same thing with this. And I set myself a limit. I said if they
come on, dude, Fright Zone.
Right, exactly. Fright Zone would be something they could easily put on the shelf, but at the same time, it's more niche because it's less recognizable to a lot of people. So that's one that might be ripe for crowdfunding, supposedly, right? But with the Snake Mountain, I think they're going to test the waters of crowdfunding for Motu Origins with that. And I told myself, all right, look, for me to crowdfund in Origins Snake Mountain, one, it has to show a significant increase of return on investment in terms of play features. Like they have to have redesigned this damn thing. Number one.
Mhm.
Yeah, the inside
Two.
actually has got to have features.
Yeah.
Yes, that it's not just a shell with a fucking bridge.
Yeah.
You know. And two, and two,
I'm looking
I
at mine.
will not. And yeah, mine's in a box because I'm like, I don't even want to look at you. I'm ashamed of you. So I paid $20 for the shell and about $60 worth of parts. I'm not upset about it.
Nice.
And I'm making a joke, but it's a fun piece to have, and I'm going to customize it. I'm going to actually build inside flooring for it and stuff
Mhm.
because I've been looking at different ways I want to achieve that with like some styrene and stuff. Thanks, Dave. To kind of get that done. And
Yeah.
that's just because it's something I can do. But stipulation number 2 for an Origins crowd-funded Snake Mountain, if they've done all that, they've gone to the trouble and it's appealing, I will not pay more than $250 for it. And that's absolute high end. And that thing better give me a back massage after dinner, if you know what I'm saying, for that price.
Yeah.
And we do.
Right. And because there's a gray skull in the box right there. I can get one anywhere right now for $80 to $100 shipped.
Yep.
And maybe
And
You still ordered on Target.
Yeah, that's how I got that one. I had it same day delivered after the whole Entertainment Earth debacle, as you guys might recall.
And what sucks about that though is again you're dealing with the shenanigans and the puppetry of these toy corporations that say what you want. It's the necessary evil to get these new toys, but I stopped caring about that.
So here's a question, just to kind of show how far Mattel is willing to go with certain things. So if they ever come back and say, well, that would be too much work to put it on the shelf in the state that we think would be best for that toy, I say bullshit, because you did it with the Castle Grayskull. You completely redesigned it, put it on the shelf, and gave it a very reasonable retail price.
Yep.
And people bought it like crazy, and they're still buying
Fantastic price.
it. Now, then you look at something like this, the Eternian Guard, the Eternian Palace Guard. I like this figure. I like it fine. Now, here's the thing. You take away all this, except for maybe the shield, and I'm happy with that. That could have been a $15 figure. I don't want
the extra noggin.
Yeah, you could have taken this stuff and made a $5 to $7, $8 little deluxe pack, right, with all the extra armor and crap. But no, you had to put it in this and make this troop builder a $20 figure at retail.
Yep.
And then on top of that, it was an exclusive for a while. Get out of town.
Because I tell you what, those molds and that little bit extra packaging from a bulk standpoint from the manufacturer does not cost that much extra, but the price point can go up. So it might cost 5% extra to produce that, but they can price point up an extra 20 to 25% from what they normally would, and that's where the profit's at. And so that's a great thing for them, as long as they can sell the units to match the. It's I don't know. I work in marketing as for a living, and I see this stuff all the time where they don't know their customers really well, and you can see some of that happen. It makes you wonder how much market research they're doing and where they're doing it at, with who, and are they taking the adult collector into account very much, or is this? I would assume this line is mostly for the adult collector, but I don't know.
I would say that what they're trying to do is target adult collectors, but also make it durable enough so that children can play with them. Motu Joneser, which is a very good friend of the channel, is a perfect example. He and his young boy collect Origins together, and both their faces just light up every time they get a new toy in, and that's exactly what they're trying to go for. And I think it's the perfect, I think it's a perfect fulcrum between a vintage collector, a modern collector, and a child, where you're getting really high detail, high quality, durable goods that'll hold up to play.
Well, I think Black Series falls into the same thing to some degree.
I will say this: Black Series are not anywhere near as durable as an Origins figure,
aren't they?
But
I don't know. I've never had a Motu.
Like, I don't want to, but I'm confident that if I were to throw this He-Man across the room, I could put them back together without any problems.
Black Series, no.
I wouldn't do that to anything Hasbro makes ever. Just no. But it's just a thing where Hasbro in general, the quality control is so all over the shop. You know, the barbecue that I got from Salzburg, he's got this weird thing with his leg. It's like Lethal Weapon, but with a thigh, where it just kind of comes out. He's got to get his thigh back into alignment.
Uh-huh.
It's a fine figure, you know, but I don't know why you would have a modern figure fresh out of the box with a major loose joint problem where it's not that it's loose to position, it's just not connected properly.
Mm.
And I have that
How many times do we see that?
too many times with Hasbro.
Yeah.
Whereas
Well, with
this
everything.
stuff,
I mean, look at NECA and yeah.
oh, NECA, that's
NECA.
we could do a whole show about NECA. Okay.
Glass.
Not going
They're
there.
made of glass.
Like,
Yeah. Yep.
glass would be
It's all
more
about the
durable.
price point. Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Because like I have pint glasses that I wouldn't try it, but I have accidentally dropped pint glasses on the floor and they survive without a crack.
NECA, not so much.
This figure, no, not so much.
Yeah.
Like they get all the good. Like here's the thing, and I'll say this, and I'll stop talking about NECA. If NECA took their
Sorry, I didn't mean to
sculpt,
bring it up.
so it's a sore point for me. If they took their sculpts and then outsourced the molding and the manufacturer to a different wherever they're at now, give it to somebody else.
I think we know a place in Chicago that could pour some resin for it.
Jeff's on fire tonight.
Sorry. Just strike that from the record.
No, it's on the internet forever now, Jeff. It's
Yeah, I
saying.
guess so.
Yeah.
Hanging
Well.
like a cloud.
Yeah.
But I think that like when you have a company like that clearly has really good business savvy with their licenses, they have some of the best, if not the best, sculptors in the marketplace. How you could consistently drop the ball with the manufacturing process for this long boggles the mind. At least with a Hasbro figure, you have a chance of getting a figure that's in good shape. You have a chance.
I would love to be a fly on the wall in some of these corporate meetings just to hear the strategy development for some of this stuff and just see where they are thinking it's going to go and how it does and how they pivot when it doesn't and that the business side of it fascinates the hell out of me sometimes. And I wish we could have more insight into that. That was actual real insight versus someone who says they might have been there at one point, and it would be fun to go through some of that stuff.
Jeff coming out of left field with all these like ninja stars. He's just
checking the boxes.
the farm like cards.
Dewback says no. Dewback says no. No more.
No. It says no.
I just picked this up today. Never had a Dewback before in my life. Yeah.
That's awesome.
One of my favorite childhood Star Wars.
I always wanted one. I never had one. Yeah, this is cool.
And it has the reins.
Sorry. Yeah.
So
I won't make controversial statements anymore.
Yes, you will. Yes, you will. It's fine. I love you, Jeff. You can look. You're not around as often as you once were. You're a busy guy. But the other folks that watch the channel in the last month alone, hot takes are totally fine here because I've gone on some rants on this show recently. Whether it's about a perfectly plastic molded tiger's anus, or NECA or Hasbro or what have. Yeah, thank you. See, there's no butthole there. See, that's perfectly, and I'm sure if I picked her up off the floor,
meow, meow,
and she has the modesty to wear a bikini bottom, Tiger does. So, and she does. But Lego's just out there. No offense to my brothers and sisters in Germany, but they just got the butthole hanging out. Just it's cool. And granted, here in the States, we're a lot more uptight about sexuality than other countries are across the pond, which with good reason, I feel. But yeah, you're not going to see a lot of toys in this country that are designed and manufactured here that have a clearly aesthetically functioning. Uh, Someone save me! I'm trying to stop and I can't stop. Okay.
What can
Man,
we
do
talk
I
about
love a
next?
good
What's
vintage
next?
toy.
What's on the
Alright.
agenda?
Yeah.
What's on the agenda next?
Oh yeah. We've talked about the pricing, the waves of pricing and everything, and we've talked about shipping. We briefly touched on quality control and vintage versus modern. Um, and I think for those of you that are watching that don't collect toys, certainly there's all of these things are true for video games, film, comic books, regular literature. Like it's all done the same thing. Because I collect all those things, and I've had the exact same things happen in all these different situations. It's it's a whole thing. But whether we're still amassing our base collection, we're doing retail complete on certain modern things, we're dipping in and picking and choosing, has the experience of how things are just they seem to just prices and inconvenience and stress seem to just go up and up and up. Has any of this changed the way any of you look at collecting as a worthwhile endeavor?
That's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good question. Wow.
Yeah, it has for me. I mean, I've actually been looking at this a lot lately in a longer term sense, 10, 20 years. Where's my collection going to be?
Right.
I think a lot of us have family members that could care less about our collections and what's going to happen with them. And as well as, I know we've talked about it between us a little bit as far as degradation of the plastics over time. How do you store stuff? How do you keep things going? And then also this bubble that we've been in because of COVID to some degree, and our age groups. When do we start aging out? And what's the next thing that's going to come in that's going to be collectible? Is all these people that are collecting Funko Pops in 20 years going to have a huge resurgence of Funko Pops to try to find? And so it's kind of like the classic car mentality of, the cars from the 70s that everyone thought were crap 10 years ago are now starting to become valuable. What's going to happen with the toy stuff? So, and do you collect for that kind of mentality, or do you just collect what you like? And so whatever happens. And so that's been on my mind a lot lately, is that those kind of questions with stuff.
Love.
Yeah, collect what you love.
And I feel like, go ahead,
mean,
Pete.
Exactly.
Finding silly stuff. So yeah, I mean, great prices for 70s era toys. So Weeble's Ranch for $20. I'm in. I had it as a kid. Was I looking for it? No way. But you walk in a shop and there it is sitting on a shelf, and you're like, does that actually say 20, not 200?
And you got it.
And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm totally getting it. It's coming home. So I mean, that's where 2022.
Kieran Ball says,
"Please hope not. Hope not."
Funko. The thing is, though, in the conventions that I go to, that's already a thing. Like there are certain Funko Pops who will just be top dollar for it for whatever reason.
Yep.
It really is the most recent incurrence of like the whole Beanie Baby thing, where people
but it hasn't stopped though.
No, and it's not something I don't think. I think what keeps it going is that people aren't necessarily going after it for the value per se. There are some who might do what you do, which is buy something, let it sit on the shelf, and then sell it so they can just keep getting stuff they like. But there are literally folks out there that just love to fill their wall with just these boxes.
Literally, and they don't take them. They don't take them out of the packages. They leave them in the package and stack them as a thing. So I've got a local toy store that I used to love going into because I had a mix of great modern stuff and some vintage things and stuff. And I went in there about a month ago, and I haven't been in there since. And I'm not going to, because the last time I was in there, literally the whole wall where they had all these toys is gone, and it's all Funko Pops now. And I asked the owner, because I was kind of friends with him. It's like, what the hell, dude? I mean, I said, I'm not going to be coming back in here anymore if this is all Funko. And he goes, I get it, but this is what's making me money right now. And it's like, I get, as a business, you got to do what you got to do. But man, talk about selling stuff that just to me is just crap.
Well,
And
even to that point, the mighty Kokomo toys, which I love, I'm a fan. We went, Ron and I, about a month ago, not even a month ago, up there on a Saturday. So their vintage wall, I mean, it's on the outside wall, and it runs for what feels like a half mile of lit cases, is all vintage goodness. But and then about half of another aisle, and then you're into Funko Pop, you're into modern toys. And I'll tell you what, easily 3/4 of the people in that store were on those aisles, not on the vintage aisles.
Mm.
And they are buying. They're not just browsing. They're buying. They're buying. I mean, we're talking whole families where they're like, "Oh, Mom, can I get this? Silver Surfer? Sure can, hun." I mean, they're just boom, boom, boom. I mean, piles.
The one thing I will give to the people that like Funko stuff is that there is a consistency to that line where you know what you're going to get. What you're getting is
it's
crap.
a success story. I love the whole idea of it as a success story. It's cool, but man, the way it's taking things over it's crazy.
Well,
but you're right.
But
It does
Funko's
have that
other
Beanie
stuff,
Baby feel.
They've tried to break into other stuff with like the Savage World line, which I love. I cherry pick from that line. Like for a while there, I was looking at getting a king shark in 6-inch scale, and it's like, fucking forget it. Like they're so expensive. Well, I can get me a Savage World one for like $15, and he's beautiful, and he'll scale with all my, Motu stuff. I have 4 of the Savage World stuff, like all the slasher figures. Well, 5, yeah, and so it's like it fits right in. So they are certainly a company that is trying to do some cool stuff, but
they've been smart about it. They've been super smart the way they went after these licenses that nobody else wanted at first, and that's really kind of snowballed into. And then these licenses started coming to them, going, "I want to be part of your stuff because we're going to sell things through you." And it's crazy what they've done. I hats off to them. It's awesome, and they're making money. But
I don't own any, but I was in a Target last weekend, and there in front of me, in like the larger size Funko Pop, was Kirk and Spock in the ship out of danger scene, and I'm like, run away! No!
Walk away.
I don't know if I even have any. I think I actually have some bobbleheads from the '60s, someplace,
right?
But they're of Kennedy and Khrushchev, and it's like that's basically to me is their modern day bobbleheads.
Yeah. And there's conceptually, when I first saw them when they first came out, I'm like, that's a really interesting idea. It's not for me. Whatever. And you see it start to take off. And I worked in a place, and I've told this story before, but everyone around me was just going nuts on these things, and they were constantly like, one of us, one of us. And in 2014, I finally said, okay, fine. And I got a Homecoming Spider-Man, and I got Legendary Films Godzilla, because the Legendary Films Godzilla from Funko was a little bit bigger, and I got Spider-Man. Like those are my 2, flagship characters of everything. I'm like, now I will have those, and now you can leave me the hell alone. And then, but that's the thing. As soon as you break the seal, then they start showing up at your frickin' door. Good friends of mine got me King from the video game Tekken, and they sent me one, and they sent me a Lemmy from Motorhead, which that's of all the ones that I have, that one I'm like, that's cool.
Yeah, you're like,
it's Lemmy from Motorhead, like that. That's all right. And then I, on a whim, got a Predator and a Dutch Schaefer, but he's covered in mud, and those were because I got a pair of them for like $10. But those 2 I'm probably going to sell. The rest of them, they're there and it's fine, but they're not going to have like this showcase piece in my collection. Like I'll put the
Right.
Godzilla with my Godzillas and the Spider-Man with my Spider-Mans, and then King will probably just be on a desk somewhere or something.
Yeah.
And then Lemmy, I'll probably have to get other Motorhead stuff to go with that Lemmy because it's not about the pop; it's about the guy. But the folks
Right.
that, and even those, I'm like, why do I have these? Because I could get a reaction Lemmy, it would be great,
Mhm.
you know. But but when you're collecting toys in earnest, and you're getting these, like looking at what Chris has, and looking at what Jeff and what Pete have, you don't bring a vinyl statue into that room. It's like taking a big dump on the floor. It really is.
Yeah.
And
Well, but you're right. I mean, they're genius. I mean, their marketing strategy is genius. I mean, what other company is producing new stuff about Motorhead? I mean, Lemmy's been dead what, 5 years now, something like that. It's like,
coming up,
yeah, yeah. So it's like, who's still doing that? And who do you talk to get a license for Motorhead these days?
Well, they
So
still have
that stuff's genius.
well, the remaining members and the management company have done a good
Right.
job of
Right.
managing that. And to be fair, this is kind of the retirement plan for like Mickey and the guitar player. They
Yeah.
got to make
Yeah.
money, right? Because there's no 401k for even the big
Right.
guys. Because even Motorhead, they were living tour to tour.
Right.
Basically, Lemmy would start writing an album and booking a tour when he was running out of money to pay rent or buy whiskey or speed.
Yeah,
That's
when he
from
was
mouth to the world.
sitting at the end of the bar at the Rainbow, had to write a new album.
Yeah, I mean that's
Yeah.
multiple times there have been stories we were like, well, time to write a new album. I'm almost out of money.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
He's a hell of a writer.
And his big payday was like $100,000 for a cover of something someone recorded. That was his
Yeah.
big payday. When you consider like how much that band has done, like they're not making that the kind of money that you would hope that they were making, even though they really should. But that's interesting too. Like you have to think. I think about sometimes like these toy companies that are trying to get things off the ground, right? Whether it's a Valaverse or a lot of the other of what I would call upstart companies that I would not call Valaverse an upstart company. Where you have somebody who was in the game, saw what he liked, saw what he didn't like, and said, "I'm going to go do something."
And I'm
And
gonna do it better.
yeah, and within 1 year, said, "Oh, here's all the stuff that I can make better." Did it better, and now it's doing it better again. And this is in the space of just a couple of years, where it's
Very
constantly
quick.
revising the idea of what it is. So it's proof that you can mass produce high quality, high sculpt figures at a reasonable price and not kowtow to bullshit corporate interests. So when I look at like a GI Joe Classified and I look at an Action Force next to him, and I'm like, why did I buy this? Like, it's something where when we talk about the state of collecting, we have to talk about the state of the quality of the toys that we're getting. Origins is tentpole to me. Action Force is tentpole in their respective scales. I can't say that about many other toy lines right now. Are there any modern toy lines you guys feel aren't getting enough attention or aren't getting enough accolades for their quality?
That's a good question. Because I don't do modern stuff, but yeah, Chris, I agree with you. Some of the Jurassic Park stuff out there is really cool.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And you can find it. Like it's on the store shelves. It's available. Not...
I actually thought some of the toys for the new Batman movie were kind of cool too.
Yes, I've seen some
that
good
is
stuff.
A very good. Yeah.
I thought, and there's a lot of it in the stores right now, and I don't know how well it's sold, but like the Batmobile and the figure designs and stuff were actually kind of cool looking, and the packaging is on point and stuff too. Yeah, yeah.
It felt very old school in the fact that, okay, well, the movie's just out and you walk into Walmart
Yes.
and there's a pallet of it.
Mm.
Like, whoa,
Yeah.
you mean you can still
It's
do
gonna-
this? Like, they're
it's
not
gonna be
bringing it
interesting
out
to-
next
yeah.
year?
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see if it pulls a Shang-Chi and in 6 months it's everything's still on the shelves.
Yeah.
You know,
Here's
the
a
Marvel
great one
movies.
right here, actually. Leonard's Alien and Predator toys, which I
I've
have.
never seen those.
Yeah.
They're great.
They're doing
They
some
are
cool stuff.
like the packaging is relatively bare bones. They put the money into the design of the toys, and they're really durable, and
Yeah.
they're just fun. And
Yeah,
again,
Ian's comment there is cool too. Yeah, the Batman line even has a playset.
which
I
I
didn't know
heard
that.
about.
That's
I haven't
cool.
seen it yet.
Yeah, so some of those might be kind of fun to pick up. I mean, yeah, they were. I thought they were well done.
And Jim Largo with a point that says there's a few new toy companies out there doing some cool original stuff. Mattel and Hasbro need to stop resting on old IPs. I agree with that. I feel like a line like Origins is something that they could do in perpetuity, right?
Yeah.
So what you do is you bring out the whole line, and then you just wait a year or 2 years, and then just reissue them, and just do them in the same order you did them before, and they have the potential to sell for quite a long time because you're then
Yep.
you're aging out of the trap of modern toy collecting because you're
Yeah.
creating availability. Listen, and
Yeah,
I
I
can't
like
believe
the
I didn't
Final Faction stuff too. Yeah, the Final
Yeah,
Faction stuff too is
like-
great.
Yeah.
blow like they were a cool concept, and then I got them in my hands, and I'm like, what? These are what? How,
Yeah.
What? And they're amazing.
Yeah, they cost
I love them.
No way. Yeah, Goji
Doll-
fixed me up with a
doll-
couple, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah, dollar
Like,
store.
cool.
You
Yeah.
can buy the entire line for less than the cost of a medium scale dinner for two with drinks. It's
Yeah.
insane. And
Yeah,
and that's what's
Yeah, I
it's
love
with
it.
troop building. You know, it's nuts.
and they're on a second wave now too.
Yeah.
Which
Which
is
look
kinda cool.
amazing.
Yeah.
Goji just put out some pictures and the videos coming pretty soon.
Yeah,
And they're not the craziest cool toys I've ever seen, but when you consider the context of this is
Oh.
completely new IP,
they are
They're-
action figures to play with. They're not made for us. They're made to play with for kids. When I picked up mine, I had 2 kids standing in front of me going through them going, oh, I want this one. This is cool. And it just like sealed it for me. It's like, man, this is exactly what I would have done with Joe's or Star Wars back when I was a kid. And it's like,
Sure.
it was awesome. It was really cool to see the light in those kids' eyes as they're picking up action figures to play with and buy and going, Mom, can we get these? And the mom's like, yeah, let's get a bunch of these because they're cheap.
Mm.
And
Right.
they're going to go home. They're going to take them outside. They're going to lose them in the dirt. And who cares? Because they're playing with them and they're having
so
fun.
big.
And then,
We'll get you.
yeah,
what's amazing to me is that they're $1
yeah,
US in this economy.
yeah.
Where if the kid
It can be done.
like if you lose one of those figures, well, you just the next time you're at a damn Dollar Tree, you just buy another one. Even
haven't seen
GI
that,
Joe
Jesse.
is like that, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
By any economy standard, whether here, foreign, past, present, that's an amazing value for what you're getting.
What were
And they're-
GI Joes off the peg back then? Were they $2 or so?
Not
2
even.
or
2 and a
$3.
half, 3? Yeah,
They were like $3.
yeah. I think they're like
Which
$3.
now is
Yeah,
like $10, which now in today's money it's like 10.
yeah.
Whoa! They raised the price on the Final Faction pair.
Fucking a quarter.
25.
Damn it.
So can they officially be
Oh.
sold at the dollar store anymore?
And Captain with a great point. Costs more to go to Dollar Tree than the figures cost. It's not wrong.
The gas, yeah.
How
Isn't that true?
far where they are. It's nuts.
Another toy line I like that I've only gotten one set from, and it's Joy Toy. It's a Chinese company that makes some really cool detailed 3.5 figures that are really highly articulated. I think I have some here someplace. I'll find one and show you. But they do a lot of modern military stuff, but also a lot of like World War II stuff, and they have their own kind of sci-fi line.
That's nice.
Mm.
Sorry.
So what's the price point on them?
Well, this guy here came in a set of like 8 figures, and it was like $65-$70. But they come with tons of accessories and tons of guns, and they've got fully articulated stuff, and so they're really posable, and I just the detail on them is just really cool. But it's a Chinese company, so they've got some modern Chinese military figures that are kind of cool, and they've got a.
That's awesome. Look at that. Look at the buttons and everything.
Yeah.
If that were American produced, they might not even have like the paint on the buttons, but that's crazy.
Yeah. So you can, it's all fully articulated, and
does that
kind of like
come out of the pouch?
Is it what?
On the back pouch, that black thing in the top, looks like a canteen pouch?
Yeah.
Doesn't come out, does
it? No, but like that pouch comes off, and the harness does come off, and the pouch, that stuff's all loose on there. It's all harness stuff. You can mix and match with them. Oh yeah, the spade comes off, so you can take a little. The entrenching tool comes off. Yeah,
I'm just amazed that even though the canteen doesn't come out of the pouch, they still took the time to paint the cap on it so you could tell it was something inside the pouch.
Yeah,
and the snaps on the canteen.
Yeah. The snaps are there.
Really detailed.
For the price.
So anyways, I just thought the level of it's about 4-inch, I think. Okay, compare this to a Black Series Stormtrooper. A little taller. Sorry, I guess they shouldn't face me.
To be a Stormtrooper.
Yeah, there you go. Hulk smash. Anyways, that's just one of my lines that I haven't seen much of them, and I don't see them in retail stores. But this one I did, and I picked it up, and it was just in that modern toy store that I said now is all Funko Pop. And so yeah, I thought they were really cool.
That's really interesting. I mean, it's another shift that you've made, because you're like, look, I'm not paying $40 for a Black Series figure that I have to pre-order. I got a whole new line.
I got a whole squad of 82nd Airborne figures now to pose and have fun with, and it's really cool. But yeah, I don't know if I'll get any more, but I got that one, and I got the same feeling looking at those as I did with my original GI Joes, where the detail level sucks you in, and it's like, oh my god, look at the detail. The reason I got into GI Joes in the first place, because I thought the M60 detail on Rock and Roll was so cool, because it's like, that looks like a real gun, that looks like a real M60. And same with these guys. It's like, oh my god, these guys they have dirt on their uniforms, they have expressions on their faces. This guy's
that sounds like extra paint apps. That should cost more.
Yeah, I know. It's like, oh, this guy's shooting a real BAR, and he's got all his stuff, and it's just like, it's cool. So anyways, that was my little rant about new toys.
Anything to add, Chris?
No, I have nothing to add to that. That's big bang for your buck, Jeff. That's
sorry, Chris. I didn't mean to talk over everybody. Chris is on Motu and Zoids.
Motu, Zoids, and this little fella here.
Yeah, Chris is the only one of us that cosplay. Chris is knee deep in the cosplay stuff. That's pretty cool too.
I'm doing because of maybe it's in line with the topic of tonight. It's because of all the things changing. I'm also putting more time into other hobbies that I didn't do before, and also because the country is opening up again, and I can finally cosplay as Skeletor at Comic-Cons again, or Mando. I did Mando last time. I couldn't do that before, so now I have more time for my other hobbies, and finally I can start doing something with music again. So that's another thing that really makes me happy, that I can do that again. So that's a little bit less time I can put into toys alone, because for the last 2 years it was toys was the only hobby and passion I can do something with at all. So that's
Yeah.
why when I started the YouTube channel Chasing 80s Toys, and it wasn't even called Chasing 80s Toys, there were cosplay videos on there and the occasional music video, and that's it. And then COVID started and I lost those two passions. And then I figured, like, what am I going to do with this YouTube channel? Wait a minute, I got a third hobby. Let's make it a platform, and not only for me as a solo. Let's get friends on there who don't have main YouTube channels of their own, and make it a platform to share our adventures and memories, and start doing that. So that's how the Chasing 80s store started. But yeah,
That's kind of
I
that's
mean,
the cool part about what Chris has done is brought me and Pete in, but also brought other people on, and it's all about sharing what we've had fun with, and it's super cool what he's done.
it's
absolutely.
too kind,
I mean,
sir, too kind. But yeah,
you could change the name to delegating 80s toys or sharing. Right, you know,
uh,
it's great.
yeah, thank you, Jim Largo. Thank you for that comment.
Yeah,
Shows
Chris
you
is
do
a hell of a
great work,
crooner.
Jack Sparrow. Absolutely.
Captain
And also,
Jack Sparrow.
I want to quickly shout out to Vintage Toy Rush and Toy Connections
Dave.
who've come to the chat.
Dave and
Great
Ken.
guys.
Dave and
Ken.
Ken.
Absolutely. And also Ted Milich, who's a close friend of the channel as well. Great guy. But I do want to just kind of bring things back around to something where I think you guys are doing something unique in the collection space, because you have that disparate view being in different parts of the U.S. as well as in the Netherlands, and having shared experiences, but then having unique experiences that no one else is having, because you all have very different passions that have crossover, but your perspectives are so different. And I think that always Chasing 80 Soys has been an amazing channel, and the three of you have all been great personalities. But I think together you're doing something that really, there's no political crap, there's no drama. It's just straight love of the toys and of the culture. And I thank you guys for what you're doing, and I hope you never stop. You're a gift
Cheers,
to the
mate.
community, as far as I'm concerned.
Cheers.
And
I'm
I
good,
love
sir.
spending time with you guys as well. And chat's been very, very patient with us for the last hour plus. So I'd like to dedicate the last little bit of time for Q&A. So anything you want to ask them or myself, whether it's about the topic at hand or anything else, now is a good time to do it. I know these guys aren't live all that often, so even though you see me quite a bit, you may not see them as much. So please,
Yeah,
the
we've
floor
talked
is
about
open
doing
for
more
you.
live streams, but we haven't really done anything yet.
Well, I can see why, how long it took us to schedule this fucking thing. You
Yeah, right.
know?
All the time conversion. They're like, hold
Yeah.
on, that'll
Oh.
work for me. Oh wait, no, that's like
Yeah.
3 a.m. for Chris.
Ooh.
That's not gonna work.
I think
John-
live stream is an art and a profession at itself. To do that so well, like the way you talk and you do those live streams, Jim, is really tip my hat off for you for that, sir. And it's something I never see myself as good at as you. And for me personally, I don't speak for my other two co-hosts of the channel. I enjoy the editing and the pre-production of content, even though there's hours and hours that go into making a small video to try to get it right. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, but I enjoy that stuff. So I don't think personally I would have the same fun from doing a lot of live streams. Of course, with the help of Jody from the excellent channel Gen X Toys Geek. And, shout out for
awesome.
you, Jody. We did the crazy Dutchies live streams where his channel and our channel combined. And since we're both from the Netherlands and live only half an hour apart, it makes sense to do a thing like that. That was fun, but I love the pre-produced content, and there's a certain level of control you have over that as well to make it look good.
Yeah.
Playing live as a band or pre-recording music in the studio, that's the same thing, I'm talking about, Jim. And live things go wrong, and that has a certain charm and makes you human. So that's good. That's all fun and good, but I don't see myself as a live person. But I'm always very happy and honored that people still ask me on their shows, listen to what
Yeah.
I have to say, and that still
Wait a minute.
boggles
You're saying
me.
you're not a live person? Are you really from Australia?
Chris is the zombie confirmed. Yeah. We got a question from chat here from Jim Largo. Asks, what do y'all think about the RoboForce return mine to Cell Company? This is the old school RoboForce. They're doing a new line, completely new designs, taking the concepts and trying to bring it up to scratch. I only know a little bit about it, but it looks cool. What do you guys think?
I don't know what that is.
I have not seen that.
Looks cool. Looks cool. I've seen photos of it, and it really reminds me of those toys from back in the days. I never had them back in the days, but it looks cool. I'm not going after it. It's not on my room is top full, so I have to look out as well. What I'm gonna put in here, or want to put in here in the future. So not for me, but looks cool.
Fair enough. So
Yeah.
I think the concept is there. We'll see when they start actually getting closer to release, what kind of price points they're talking, things like that. But there might be something on the horizon. So I think it's interesting for sure. A question from chat from Kieran Balta. Jeff, do you have a Grail comic book that you want in your collection?
It kind of changes throughout the year, and depending on what I'm doing, it's kind of like saying what's your favorite song. That changes as things go.
Sure.
I would love to have a first appearance of Ghost Rider, and Ghost Rider #1, but his first appearance was in a different book. Moon Knight's awesome right now. I've got a bunch of Moon Knight, but it'd be fun to have that first appearance. I actually saw a first appearance of him in Werewolf by Night. Saw one of those today for $7,000. Can't afford that.
No.
Yeah, and that was a mid-grade comics, but yeah, I'd like to have that.
A mid-grade?
That was like a 7.0 grade, yeah, out of 10.
I only know what that means because I've been hanging out with Jeff. So now
Yeah.
I'm gonna be like, wow, 7.
No, some of the 70s stuff. I'd love to have Tomb of Dracula #1 and Ghost Rider are my two favorites right now. Yeah, so that's kind of it. I just picked up this today, which was Avengers 57, first appearance of Vision. Just picked that up today. I'm going to send that in to get graded. And so that was one I've been looking for a long time. But yeah, there's a few.
So I'm going to just selfishly hop in and say, if anyone has a minty copy of Amazing Fantasy 15 lying around, just let me know. I'll certainly trade you a bit of nachos for it.
First appearance of Spider-Man, one just sold high grade for about $3.5 million.
I mean, okay, it'll be a big plate of nachos.
Yeah.
It's
funny because like the level of what you can get into with comics compared to the level that you can get to take it to for toys is a whole different level.
I mean, that's like
crazy.
Final Cape Jawa
kind
of stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of nuts. Speaking of nuts, Keith Knight says that they have a question.
Damn it, Keith.
On screen, we've got a drummer, guitar, singers, and horn player. Guys. And Michael is saying there's no band.
There is no band.
There isn't one. But I'll tell you, when I buy a house, I'm going to be doing some drumming live streams, which means I'll have basically a recording set up in my house. I wouldn't mind laying down a click track, playing some drums, and you guys could figure out what to do with blast beats and double bass. That'd be fine.
How about we not show up?
Hey man, you can do all this stuff remotely now. Just saying.
Having some audio difficulties. Hold on, having some difficulties. No. I don't play anything.
I can't help it if your brain doesn't work that fast, Jeff. It's not my fault. It's fine. I'll show you some. I'll show you some payola riffs. How about that?
Oh, okay, that'll work.
Those are the ones that pay money. Favorite toy scale: 3.75, 6 inch, or something else. For figures, for me, I don't really have one. If I could have hyper articulated, detailed figures, all in like the 4-inch scale, like superpowers, that'd probably be my jam. That doesn't exist. I tend to go after what's the best figure for the price in terms of detail, articulation, or nostalgia. I don't really worry too much about that stuff.
That's kind of way I am too.
But I have the most 6-inch.
Excuse me.
He's on a roll tonight.
Sorry.
He really is. He really is. Come on, guys, wrap it up here.
I'm the same way. I collect the lines, not really the scale, but all my lines that I collect are 3.75 stuff for the most part. But I like some of the 6-inch stuff just because the level of detail you can get with it.
Yeah, 3.75 is definitely where my heart lies.
Yeah,
because all the awesome play sets. I mean, I'm a playset whore. Like, you know,
that's the
like
big one.
they make a playset for that. Oh, I must have
playsets.
Right? Yeah.
And Pete, Pete, don't even show us the flag you got.
It's right back there.
Right there.
Yeah. Chris, do you have a scale that you favor, or did I miss it?
A favorite scale? Yeah, probably would say I like this
5.5
scale
inch.
a lot. There's a lot of this in the room, so
Figured you would.
like Jeff, I just collect whatever I want. But since there's a lot of this and there's a lot of this scale in there, so I'll probably go for those two.
That's a great figure, Chris. Okay.
Fair enough. So, last question before we wrap up here. This is for the three of you. What Care Bear? Everyone knows what Care Bear I am. I'm obviously Grumpy Bear. Everyone else, what Care Bear are you and why?
Okay, that's I was afraid you're going to take that question. You go ahead first, Pete.
Pete, I'm a little rusty on my Care Bear name, but was it Loves a Lot with the heart?
Yes.
Yeah, that would be mine. And that's, I'll say why. That was our daughter's favorite Care Bear growing up, and she called it Pink. And so Pinky, I mean, she slept with Pinky. Pinky went everywhere. Pinky went on vacations with us. Pinky was accidentally, left on a Disney ride, and we went back to get Pinky, like we forgot Pinky. So yeah, I go with Loves a Lot.
There you go.
You go ahead, Pete. I'm just going to get the one that I like to be.
Jeff?
Got it.
I don't know. I don't know any of the names. I'm actually looking them up.
Jeff's like, what color?
I don't know. Funshine Bear. My wife might call me Surprise Bear. But we'll see.
Oh.
Yeah.
Surprise! It's a box of plastic. Why don't you use the shit?
Surprise! Furry. I need more space.
Yeah. I have no idea.
Fair enough.
Keith Knight says he'd be Swear Bear.
Swear Bear, yes, of course.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
I like this one a lot. It's this Wish Bear. He's a glow in the dark bear. That's the reason why I still have a Care Bear in my collection. I love glow in the dark toys. But my favorite one would be this is gonna sound a bit cliche, I suppose. What's the sleepy bear who dreams a lot?
Sleepy Bear, I think, or
Sleepy
Nighttime
Dream
Bear.
Yeah,
Bear,
I like
Night
him.
Terror Bear, whatever it is.
Chris is Hardy Bear.
I always had dreams and stuff like that about I want to do this and that, and most of them didn't come through, and a lot of them do. But the future is built on dreams, so dare to dream. So I think that's a good one for me.
On. Chernobyl Bear, glow in the dark.
To close that out, he wasn't even serious about the question.
I know.
Very good question.
It's a good question.
But in the spirit of that, we hope you all had fun watching the stream. I could talk to these guys for 6-7 more hours, but with respect to everyone's time and their relative time zones, I did not want to go over the 90-minute mark. But we went to 2 hours, and so I have to cut it off somewhere.
Let's keep going.
Had a great time.
Definitely had.
Now they're attacking me with lizards.
There's no. He says no. What is that?
All right, folks.
Stompers.
So,
Stomper. That's right.
That we could do a whole. We could do a whole segment about Stompers. Couldn't do a whole show.
Yeah.
We could do.
But So stay tuned for Monday, where I'm going to be busting out a 1984 wish list catalog that just came into my collection.
Oh, nice.
So
Nice.
we'll see y'all Monday night. For that, I want to thank all the guys from Chasing 80s Toys. Pete, Jeff, and Chris, thank you so much for your time. Chat, thank you for being here and being amazing. I love you
Thanks,
too.
everybody.
And we'll see you guys
Thanks,
on
chat.
the next one. Cheers, guys.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, everybody.
You people amaze me every time.